These three lectures on today and Wednesday and Friday are going to cover a history of this discovery, and each of the 3 days will be part of it, and it all leads to the discovery of the human heart and its connection to the human heart. Hopefully that somehow this can relate to all of you in your work and in your studies and your life. So I found this form artistically. This is it. This is what I found 25 years ago, the very one. This was the first discovery of this form. And that's not accurate, and it's an artistic discovery. Of course, today it looks like this, and it's perfect shape. It's very similar. And what I noticed about this first one that was discovered, that it had 4 triangles. That's interesting. Maybe I should tell you another thing. My intent was to make a 7-sided form. That's it. I'd only heard really just the very beginnings of maybe a very, very short time I've really studied. So this was based on a idea that between 6 and 8, there should be a 7. Now there's a 6-sided form, and that's a cube, and there's an 8-sided form, which is an octahedron. But there's no 7. I was told there was no 7, and that was the only intent that I had in doing this, just to try to find the 7. There should be one. So I didn't know anything about, really anything about geometry at all. I mean, I didn't know about the Platonic forms. But when I took this course and this was covered, it just really sparked my interest. So I just love these 5 forms, but the 7th isn't there. So I started out, and it took me about 3 months, and I found it. Okay, so I had no intention to have anything to do with the heart. I had no idea that would lead me in this direction. I've had no experience with the heart other than physical and emotional. But as far as what the structure of the heart was all about, I had no idea, no clue, and I didn't care. All I had was just working on this form. So when I got to this point, I realized that what I needed to do was to study geometry in such a way that I could find out where this form was in the world. Because I had no idea, and everybody I showed it to had no idea. So I thought, well, I certainly have to somehow try to find it. So I thought geometry would be the best way, because that's the way it came in. Okay, so the first thing I did is I realized that it looked like a tetrahedron at the bottom. And sure enough, it was. This is the tetrahedron. This is the first form that comes into the world that manifests of all the 5 Platonic forms, and it's known as warmth. Okay, it's also known physically as fire. Okay, so what I realized was that what I had to do is open up the tetrahedron. See how I opened it up? And then I closed it. Okay, and then I opened it up, and that's where I got the idea that this just might be connected somehow, because there's a new form in here, and when there is a new form, it's 7. It's 7 faces. Okay, so in all my studies, I never found anything that anybody had done that opened up a tetrahedron, except I found one. And here it is. This is a picture of it. Can you see how the edge that faces the front is kind of opening? Can anybody see that? This picture, okay, that's pretty clear. You can see that the tetrahedron is not glued together. You can see that it's been opened. And I can see, I immediately saw that it had been opened many times because it's never been clear enough to be glued. All right. Remember, this is the only time I've ever seen in all the years I've been working, the tetrahedron is open. And this was found on Goethe's desk. So when I opened it up to get the seventh-sided as close as I could in size, I had no idea, just tried it. Okay. I decided that I should try to put it into a cube. And the reason I decided to do that is because the cube is associated with Earth. So I did it based on that, and sure enough, just like the tetrahedron that fits in the cube, those are the tetrahedron. It fits in the cube exactly at the same angle, which is √3, as the tetrahedron. But you see how it's gotten smaller, and it's also got these kites. And these kites are quadrilaterals. So they have 4 edges, where all the other ones have 3. So all the edges of the tetrahedron are 12. There are 12 edges. And there's the 4 and the 3, which makes it 7. Okay. So one of the first things I did to try to find out where this was and what's going on here with this is I made the form into edges. These are edges only, no faces, right? There's no faces. They're just edges. There's 12 lines. Okay. So what I did was to put this into motion. So I did. I put it into motion. Can you see what kind of a shape that is?
It's a bell.
Huh? Somebody said it.
It's a bell.
It's a bell. Some people can't. Some people can't see that bell. Okay. So some of us can. So what I decided I would do was draw it up because some people couldn't see it. Some people couldn't see that spinning would be a bell. So, geometry, I blew it up. I mean, I made the drawing of it. There it is. That's the drawing of the shape in motion. Okay. Now, when I did that, I found out also that there was lines inside. Now I'm going to spin it again. Can you see those lines inside? A little hard to see, but it's there by a friend that when Columbus came over and with his ship and he landed, that the Indians couldn't see the ship. Landed on the beach, they couldn't see it. And the reason is because they'd never seen a ship before. And then when it was pointed out that here's the sails and look, this is the shape here, and they saw it. Okay. So there are lines in here that I have shown people this close. They cannot see those lines inside. Okay. So I have a picture. So I decided, well, I better draw a drawing of those lines inside. So I did. And these are the lines that no one can see. And those lines, okay, are a form, just like the chestahedron is a form. The inside lines are also a form, and it happens to be a really important part of the heart. I didn't know this was a heart yet. It took me 2 years. So I made it a real one. And here it is. Solid. Okay, I made it out of wax. I made a mold first and made it out of wax, and then I cast it into real bronze. Okay. Now, why am I doing this? Well, when I was doing this, I came across in Steiner's lecture called The Art, I'm sorry, At the Gates of Spiritual Science. This is the book. Okay. I'll read it to you. It says, just a little bit, he says that the clairvoyant sees another particularly remarkable set of shapes. There are bell shapes and shoot through the astral space with enormous speeds. They are geometrical human beings. They're not yet incarnated, but striving to incarnate. And this is the reason why they, are beginning human beings darting around with such enormous speeds that they are searching for parents and suitable characteristics and family circumstances. Okay, so during that time, I discovered this. This is an Egyptian carving. Everybody see the whole thing? So what we have here is this is in the temple called Hathor. It's one of the biggest and most beautiful and most well preserved. But this is where women go to give birth. And in this chamber, there is the Princess Nut. And she's the princess of the sky. And she follows the moon here. And she gives birth to the sun in 9 months. And then out of the sun are a tremendous amount of bells. And they're all going down to form in a cube. And there's a cube. Very rarely see cubes drawn in Egyptian. So that was an indication really that maybe this has a connection with birth, has a connection with incarnation like Rudolf Steiner, and these are definitely in the astral. And you notice they're all made of pentagrams. In other words, the stars are basically pentagrams. And of course, there is a pentagram in here. Here they are. I blew them up so you could really see them. You can see that the bells, how similar they are to the Chestahedron bell. What's going on? And these Egyptians, how does Steiner know this? How is this happening? How is it? Listen, I took my form like this to a bell expert from Russia. He lives over here about 10 miles from my house. And I did that because I took some students I had that wanted to learn about this and the bell. Oh, no, I just want to show my students here the sound of all these bells that you have. He says, well, why would you bring this? I says, because, see, if you spin it, it turns into a bell. And he just about fell out of his seat. And I said, what's wrong? Oh, he says, we've never known the geometry of the bell. And we're the creating of the Christian bells. Next thing I want to do is show you this. This is very interesting. This is the Chestahedron. Okay, edges only again. I guess you can see the bottom of that Chestahedron or not. Let's see. How about that? You can see the bottom of it? almost. I can hold it up. But see, the tetrahedron has a triangle at the top, and before it gets to another angle, remember this is the tetrahedron, and this is the kite shape, the four quadrilaterals, four edges. There's a triangle at the bottom and a triangle at the top. So if I take those triangles and try to meet them, I can do that because I've had these rubber bands. You see how I'm moving that triangle down? They hit each other right when they hit. And when they hit, there's a perfect six-pointed star right in the middle. No idea. All right, now, if I set this down, the problem I have, and I had to live with this for a year, maybe longer. I lived with this for a year, is that the distance from here to here is different than the distance from here to here. See, there's a difference. It's not in the middle. It should be in the middle. It's different from the top to the star, and it's different from the base to the star, but the star is perfect. So what, so there's no way you can move geometry. You can't cheat geometry. Once it's there, it's there. Where two lines cross, that crosses where the compass points go, then you can't do anything about it. There's the six-point star, not in the middle. Yeah, not in the middle. Because I'm still remembering, what I'm trying to do is to bring in the geometry and relationship to how I studied it and how it relates to things on the world. Now, the Egyptians had what they call the flower of life. And the flower of life is 19 circles, which I think Rudolf Steiner got used the 19 circles, in his first class lessons. But I wanted to put this into the flower of life to see if it worked, because I saw that star, I saw that six-pointed star. So here's the flower of life. 19 circles, there's one, and then there's 6 around, which is 7, and there's 12 around there, which is 19. So, wow, here to get this right, because unless I'm lucky, right in, perfect. And there's the six-pointed star exactly inside the flower of life. And if you notice, this is a six-pointed star I took out of here. This flower of light is not in the middle of the form. You can see the distance from here to here is different than from here up to top where my hand is. Well, I still have to live with it. That's the way it is. Okay, so then I decided to put it in the flower of life, a little one, a little smaller, and I put the 19 circles. Okay, and the tetrahedron is sitting in the middle, just like the big one. And there it is, again, not right. I found out that if I put a sphere around the tetrahedron, the sphere lined up with this copper one, which is, this is the seed of life, and this is the fruit of life. Okay, so it went around from the top to the bottom, but then, of course, then I put the bottom on. That's not going to work. Work perfect. It is exactly in the middle of a sphere. Exactly. That's why I never changed it. That's why I didn't need to change it. That's why it was so accurate. And that's the reason that the star is not in the middle, because it fits into a sphere. And the sphere is also connected with the flower of life, but the fruit of life, the seed of life. And why that's important is because this geometry is one of the first ones that came into existence for the human being to discover, and that it ties in with the heart. Okay, I'm talking about the heart here, that the heart has a relationship to the flower of life which is the essence of all geometry. That's the very first one. So here it is again. I put the 7 circles. You see the 7 circles, okay, connect to 6 points. Yeah. And in the very middle of this Chesterton, there's a hexagram. And if I take this off, there's your Chesterton. And inside the Chesterton, there is a blue triangle, a red triangle. And when you bring these two, it makes a hexagram, and the hexagram is right in there yellow. That's the real hexagram. And the hexagram is right exactly where it's supposed to be. And if I divided the quadrilateral exactly in half, and at 90 degrees, I center it in, it touches the hexagram. Now that is amazing geometry. I mean, this you can't make things up like this. Things just don't work out. There's something here. See that line that goes through into the middle? I mean, this can happen. Okay, so when I put it back, there's your larger triangle that goes around the whole thing, and the other triangle goes right on top of that. So there's a there's a 6-pointed star on the outside, and there's a 6-pointed star on the inside, and they all relate to the flower of life, which is a major geometry in this work. I mean, absolutely major. Now, you say, well, now the trouble is that, how would you ever think that that's called, or that's the shape of the heart? I don't know any heart that shape. Okay, so what you have to do is I'm starting to go into incarnation. I'm starting to bring this into manifestation. Okay. And one of the ways that nature works is they work with minimum surfaces. And minimum surfaces is that everything that's geometric in the world and nature is trying to become a sphere. And why is that? Because all the planets, there's how many spheres? I mean, that's why kids love ball so much, because the sphere holds more volume per surface area than any form. So all of forms are trying to reach the maximum surface area in relationship to the volume inside. So what I did is I took this into edges and I dipped it in soap. Now Yukota reminds me that I did this for 4 hours in the bathroom with a bowl with the bowl full of soapy water. And I kept dipping this very one into the soap and then bringing it out to see if I could get a bubble in here. And I did, and I made it. And here it is. Here's the bubble in its minimum surfaces. So the tetrahedron is on the outside. You dip it in soap, and the bubble that's created inside, okay, is the same shape. Okay, that's the left ventricle. Turn this upside down. Yeah. Okay. Well, see, the tetrahedron sits in the human heart at around 35 degrees. Okay, so this is the way it is really in the human body. But it doesn't have a tetrahedron around it. It has this. We got that right. Okay? See, the left ventricle has been cut off and removed. This is all out of cardiologists' research centers, these things. So this right ventricle has been removed, and what's left is the left ventricle. And that's this whole explanation here today has been about the left ventricle, not the right. Okay, The tetrahedron is known as an archetype. Just like Goethe said, there's an archetype of the plant, and that also Joseph Campbell said there's an archetype of the myth. Okay, this is the archetype of the human heart, and it comes from a place, okay, where there was no intent to have anything to do with the heart. All research that we have that's based on manifestation, that's based on the physical world, is taking real hearts, either measuring them with magnets, with electricity, with tone, with so on and so forth, cutting apart, putting them in different liquids. Well, they're all studying the physical side. This is not the physical side. This started from the non-physical. Oh, it is an archetype. So it's an original idea, a blueprint of the beings that have to deal with developing something from geometry to physical. And so that's why this is so important to understand first how it relates to geometry, how it relates to the past in our conception of the heart and what it does and what it's doing. Now, I haven't talked about how it relates to the human being right now, okay, but I will. That's what's going to happen on Wednesday and Friday, because I will show you how the right ventricle comes in, the other ventricle, and then I will show you more of where the geometry comes in, and then I'll also talk about the AIs, the ASIs that's coming in relationship to the heart, because can this be made to go into an AI and become a human being and so forth. So I'm hoping that you stick around because there's a lot more to come. And I'm going to finish with one thing. I'm going to show you one thing. These are edges only. Now, I have taken these edges off, completely limited all 12 edges. And what's inside, okay, which you have to try to see, but you have to get used to what I'm doing, is there is a form inside here on the surface. Now you saw the ones inside, but how about the one on the surface? So if I take all these away, this is what I get. And in the middle of this, there's a 6-point star. Okay, I hope that that was somewhat enjoyable, and also that you learn more about the geometry based on an archetype and bring it into manifestation, okay, into the human heart. And that part you haven't seen yet. I'll bring it into more, except in the bubble. You saw that the outside looks like that. And I've also found the inside. I found out how it moves. The heart moves 6 directions at the same time, and how it reverses, and how connected to the social life, okay, that's kind of being asked here. And that'll start tomorrow. So I'm willing to, the perfect timing, I'm willing to take questions, or we'll wait, or we'll take questions on Sunday, or every day I'm open to questions. So thanks for listening.